I focus on the state assembly for a very specific reason, because that's where I can make the most difference in education and the financial stability of our state. And that's where I feel I need to be. That's where I feel I'm doing the best work. So I'm really only focused on that. And you know, I'm going to have to run for office every 2 years, and it'll always be a big challenge. And hopefully I'll get to be there for another 10 years. There's plenty of work to do in the Assembly in the 10 years that are available to me, if I'm fortunate enough to earn that type of service. So that's what I will be working on.
Wow. Anything you want to add?
Well, I just really appreciate your interest. And I appreciate the interest of the Chinese American community in our politics and in leadership and what happens in our local community. As I mentioned, the first trip I took away from home was to Asia, and stayed in Beijing and stayed on the beach in Qingdao, stayed in Hong Kong during a typhoon, and lived with a family for a time in Taiwan. And those memories of the culture and being able to see that here in my own community has been very important for me. You know, my dad speaks Mandarin. He's fluent in Mandarin. He's a little bit behind. He'd love to sit and speak with anybody who'd be willing to help him practice his Chinese. It's just very rewarding to represent a community that has such a great Chinese American presence and culture, and to see families that are so engaged in our schools, so engaged in our community, and with so many shared values about our American dream, and I just love it. It's a great honor to represent this area, and I'll work hard to earn that.
Do you have any recommendations for Chinese involving in in politics here? Because we are really not, experienced in anything like that.
Well, you know, with my election, having actually a great amount of Chinese American and Asian American support, for me, I really saw just what an impact when folks are involved, they can have in an election. And my very strong encouragement is to be involved. You know, sometimes we talk ourselves out of being involved because we think we might not have time. You know, we are taking care of our families and our jobs. Or we might not know as much as someone else. Maybe they're smarter about it, so maybe they should do it. I would encourage folks to not talk themselves out of being involved, because I believe there's so much that folks from our Chinese American community could offer. And I see it every single day, that I just really encourage involvement. First of all, vote. Be sure you vote. Get registered to vote and show up for elections, and not just the big presidential elections, but your very, very local measures and local elections. It's important to have that influence. And I would always be delighted to visit with anyone who's interested in, you know, running for office for the first time. I hadn't run for office before I ran for this seat. I had been involved in my community, but I said, this is something I need to do, and I'm just going to go do it. I encourage folks to do the same thing, because that's a great way to get involved.